Hello, everybody. Welcome to CX Today. My name's Floyd, and I'm the technology journalist here. And today, I'm really excited to be joined by Alex Debecker, product manager at Soprano Design. So, hi, Alex. Thanks for joining me today. How are you doing?
Hello, yeah, thank you very much. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Glad to have you on. I know we've been speaking quite a bit off air, so it's
Yeah,
it's good to get recording today.
sure.
So, I think the best place to start on these is if you could just introduce yourself, introduce Soprano Design, and kind
hmm
of talk us through where you fit in the conversational AI field, and kind of lead into your platform that you guys have got.
Sure. So Soprano Design is a global leader in enterprise messaging. So what we do is we help enterprise customers all over the world provide better engagement, digital engagement, to try and get them the business results that they want. But we try and do so in a way that the recipients of the engagement really enjoy the process and trust the communication. And then in terms of AI, over the past few years, what we've done is we've made a concerted effort to try and expand our enterprise messaging platform and strategy to include all of the latest technology. So conversational AI, automation, chatbot, and so on. And so what I do at Soprano is I'm the product manager for specifically the conversational AI product.
Cool, brilliant. Thanks for that introduction there.
Mhm.
And I think, I mean, for myself anyway, I kind of live in this echo chamber where I end up thinking that everybody in this field knows about AI, works in AI, and kind of is installing it. But there's a lot of people out there that are looking on in their first steps in their organization of how to implement AI, and that can obviously be a bit of a minefield.
Mhm.
So obviously, in that case, it's super important to be a differentiator in this field. So it'd be great if you could like talk us through a little bit more about your product, but also how you kind of differentiate from all of the other people out there doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's a great point. So fundamentally, Soprano has been in the messaging business for it's been over 30 years now. So we've really followed the evolution of the industry for decades. And perhaps surprising, what we continue to see is that businesses still poorly implement the one-way, really structured messaging. So you're probably on the receiving end of some of these. So those are like long messages, poorly written, poor copywriting, little to no visibility of the engagement with these messages after they've been sent. And what we see is like everyone is trying to do messaging, but often even the basics are sort of poorly executed. And really, this is where our experience comes in, right? So we have 30 years of experience that allows us to understand what it really takes to implement a useful and trustful and engaging messaging journey. And so with AI, our experience has become even more important because we're able to take our customers from this, standard one-way notification structured messaging implementation to a two-way unstructured AI-driven, back and forth engaging journey, which is really key for customer experience teams, right? Consumer expectations have completely changed over the past few years, obviously, since, as everyone knows, since COVID. Consumers they want everything done their way. They want their preferred channel. They want their preferred cadence. They want even to an extent, they want to even control the experience itself. They want to be able to ask questions back. They want to be able to respond to messages that they might receive. And they might even want to trigger the interaction themselves. They don't want to passively wait for a notification from a business. And more than anything, over all of that, consumers crave the trust between the business and themselves in that communication. And so, what we do is we get to combine all of our decades of experience in messaging with the latest AI communication technology, so that we can help our customers create that kind of this state-of-the-art communication that helps deliver business outcome and hopefully builds trust as well between the business and the consumer.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes people search for a USP, but sometimes like the company's histories are the biggest USP that you can have. So
Sure.
it's kind
Yeah.
of
Absolutely.
great to pull that off.
hmm
Um, and obviously, naturally, scalability is a core part of decision makers for end users of this technology. At first, they might be looking to implement it on smaller scales and then go kind of enterprise wide. So, on what level is scalability integrated into your platform, and how does configurability come into this?
Sure. So I think we can think of scalability here in two ways. The first is, of course, we need to be able to deliver all of these messages at scale. And from a customer experience standpoint, we want to make sure that deliverability is really high and that everything is really smooth. And that's always been a really, really important point in our experience. But with AI particularly, this has become even more important. So we're no longer just sending a one-way notification to people, to a bunch of people. That scalability was really important for that. But nowadays with AI, we're sending these messages, but we expect the users to message us back, and then we expect our automated platform to respond again. And so we're no longer just doing the one-way messaging. We're creating this communication where there's a lot of back and forth, and so scalability for that is obviously really, really important. And then the second way of looking at scalability here is kind of horizontally across industries and use cases. We want to be able to design the right AI-driven messaging experience for customer experience teams across any sort of industry and use case, whether that is financial services, healthcare, retail, etc. And to your point, this is where configurability is really, really important. We need to make sure that our platform is industry and use case agnostic, so that we can create the right customer experience that we know will generate engagement for our customers. And so, from an AI perspective, this means creating a chatbot that can talk about any topic in any language. It means crafting really complex and bespoke workflows that can automate some of the processes. It means connecting with any third-party APIs so that we can push and pull information into these workflows. And it means doing all of this across a bunch of channels, whatever channels the end user prefers using. So a high level of configurability is super important for us and for our customers, because it allows us to create the conversational experience that solves their specific problem, rather than grabbing something off the shelf that it sort of works but sort of doesn't. It needs to be really bespoke. And so what I like to say is, with our AI platform, if you can write your process down on paper, if you can explain it to another human, we can automate it.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for covering that off. And I think sometimes it's always good for our viewers to kind of have a specific use case, just to put a little bit of context behind the AI platform, because it could be this like mystical cloud thing for a lot of people. So it'd be great if you could cover off maybe a couple of use cases where Soprano Design's AI has been particularly effective, and then maybe we could talk about the ecosystem that you've approached that you've got going on as well.
Sure. It's not surprising that conversational AI is huge in customer service. There's tons of research now that kind of shows that AI is becoming the backbone of customer experience. And so I recently read a report from, I think it was Zendesk, that said that 70% of customer experience leaders planning on investing in generative AI over the next couple of years. And which that's interesting in and of itself. But we've done our own research recently. We surveyed over 8,000 consumers. And we found that across all of the regions, over 50% of them use chatbots to communicate with businesses, which I think we'll put the report in the description. So it's really worth having a look. What I find interesting here is that we have the customer experience leaders wanting to invest in this technology, which makes sense because it saves time, it's efficient, it saves money. But not only that, we have the other side of it, where consumers also want to use it. So it's a really interesting trend at the moment from that perspective. And so what we're experiencing at Soprano is we're experiencing this firsthand. So customer experience use cases have been probably at the forefront of most of the work that we've been doing over the past few years. So what has been really interesting for me is the breadth of these use cases. So for example, here in the UK, we've worked with local government organizations. We've solved up to 80% of the inquiries that come through from their citizens through a text and voice chatbot, right? So these are typical customer service inquiries, obviously targeted at a local government. So there are questions like, when is my bin being picked up, or what does this acronym means on my tax form? But we get to automate all of these and give all of that time back. We're also seeing a lot of traction in healthcare. Again, in customer service. So here the customer is obviously the patient, but we're seeing patients using conversational AI to ask questions about an upcoming procedure. Maybe they're a little bit stressed about it. Maybe they don't really know how they need to prepare for it or what's going to happen. They can ask all of these questions ahead of time. Or they go through aftercare workflow when the procedure has happened and they go back home, maybe for a few weeks, they need to be followed up with. All of that is can be automated. And so, yeah, it's been really interesting to see, customer service across a variety of businesses and industries. We've worked with libraries and retail and online course aggregators, and they all use this technology in a way to improve the customer experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the biggest kind of issues in customer experience is when people don't feel like the service has been made for them. And obviously, you alluded to COVID, and everyone's like behaviors and patterns of expectations
Yeah.
changed quite rapidly. Um, so obviously, conversational AI and the use cases you just explained, it can offer that personalized approach a little bit more because it's answering people's really specific questions. So I guess that's a really important point to consider as well, isn't it, when looking at use cases for kind of end users looking to implement this technology?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite interesting because people used to ask me what my vision for artificial intelligence was for like the future, and the future was 5 or 10 years, and it was very far away, and everyone was dreaming a little bit. And Nowadays, everything kind of changes every like 5 months or every 5 days. Everything's moving so quickly. So it's worth keeping on top of trends. But you're absolutely right. Personalization is a huge trend, particularly for customer experience, and we think that it's going to keep evolving. So I think for your audience listening, there's probably three trends that I would keep an eye on. That I would believe will evolve dramatically over the next couple of years for customer experience specifically, and obviously with AI specifically. And the first is bespoke artificial intelligence. Um, so far, by design, most of the AI that you've probably used yourself, AI models, have been very generalists. So you're able to go and talk to an AI about anything, pretty much. You can talk about retail, you can talk about law, you can talk about healthcare. It kind of knows everything about everything, and it does so quite well. Um, but what we expect will happen very soon is we will see more bespoke models come up. So when you're a retail company trying to implement a customer experience chatbot for your retail company, you want your chatbot to know everything there is to know about retail. And the fact that it knows about healthcare or law or online courses, you don't care about any of this. And that's kind of wasted resources. And so we expect that very soon we'll see these models that are very targeted to specific use case or niches like healthcare, like e-commerce, etc. And actually, we've designed our platform to leverage this because we know we're kind of seeing it. It's going to come for sure. And so we've designed our platform to be able to not only build these really in-depth models, but also we're able to swap them from one another depending on what our customers need. So that's really important to us. And then to your point, as a follow-on to that, personalization is obviously huge. With AI, we're able to hyper-personalize experiences completely. So again, to your point, consumers don't really want to ask, how long does a delivery take? They want to ask, how long will it take for my delivery to arrive to my address, right? And while this is already possible to an extent with our technology, we just think that this is just going to keep going, right? It's just going to get more and more personal, more and more integrated to the actual specific use case and specific scenario that the person is using. And then what's interesting is, I think the third trend that I would keep an eye on is kind of a follow-on of the previous two, and that is an increase in trust. Um, when we are able to combine bespoke artificial intelligence models that knows everything there is to know about the what the consumer wants to ask the business about with hyper personalization. So this chatbot not only knows everything about this topic, it knows everything about me as well, my specific use case. And then the ability for that consumer to be the one driving on the driving seat. They're able to go and talk to the bot, talk to the business themselves. With all of this combined, we think that we'll be able to eventually solve the trust issue that might have plagued communication between businesses and consumers for the past, X number of years. It's always been a bit of a sticking point, and now we think that that should be solved thanks to these kind of three-pronged approach.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think just following on from that, once we've got those three pillars kind of like figured out across like lots of different enterprises, I think the people that kind of like are lagging behind, maybe thinking, let's see how it goes. there's a really important step of communication, isn't there? Celebrating the customer experience wins, obviously not only for the PR of these enterprises, but also it's going to bring a lot more enterprises in. So do you think we're getting closer to that step? Do you think we're another maybe 2 or 3 years away, or as you alluded to earlier, AI is moving so fast? Do you think we're going to get to the stage where the people lagging behind are going to start catching up?
Absolutely. I think the appeal for this automation has always been there. It's been there for quite some time.
Hmm.
But what I've seen in the industry, the big shift I've seen in the industry is what I alluded to earlier. The efficiency was really seen from the business perspective. We can automate all of this, and that's going to save us a lot of money, or that's going to save us a lot of time. But the uncertainty for many years was, do consumers actually want this? Do consumers want to speak to a chatbot? Do consumers will they feel slated by the fact that they're not speaking to a human or they're not, on the phone with someone? And actually, what we're finding over the past couple of years is that consumers love it. They love to be able to go and at 2:30 in the morning go and talk to a business and get the information they want, or they love not having to be in a queue for hours waiting for someone to pick up the phone. And so now we have this kind of these two reinforcing forces, which is driving the adoption dramatically. And obviously, the industry has boomed completely over the past couple of years. Who doesn't know? If you go to the local pub, people are talking about automation and AI, which is insane to me. I've been in the industry for 10 years, and no one knew what I was talking about 10 years ago, and now everyone knows what all of this is, and everyone loves it. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a huge trend there.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. And I think that's a really good talking point to kind of like wrap up on that. I mean, it's a conversation. It's a bit my catchphrase here that I could like talk about this for hours, but I
Uh,
really, really could. So I'd just like to thank you for your time, Alex, today. Appreciate that. And thank you to all of our listeners who continue supporting the channel and our website with your readership and viewership. Obviously, don't forget to like and subscribe onto this video and to this channel, and also sign up to our newsletters. We've also got a WhatsApp channel that you can join too. But yeah, enough about that. I'd just like to thank you again, Alex, and I'm sure we'll see you again on the platform soon.
Thank you so much for having me.